good afternoon, good day. Thank you for your patience. I'm still trying to figure out how to make this live talk work on YouTube. I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. So, how are you doing? I hope you're fine, you're feeling great, and yeah, I give you more time to get in here, get settled, take a deep breath if you can. And I'm going to light my candle, and I just realized I left my matches somewhere, so excuse me for a second. Yay! Yeah, as you can see, I changed things up a little bit for many reasons. I'm not sure if I'm keeping it that way. For now, it's sort of a kind of a improvised construction, especially the setup for the camera, for the light, which still needs some improvement, I think. Yeah, but frankly, MacGyver would be proud if you could see it. I mean, I unfortunately cannot show you, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. And nothing broken and nothing gone wrong so far. So, just quickly before we dive into today's topic, have any of you finished the Sharpen Your Focus challenge? If yes, let me know. I'm really proud of you. I want you to know that. Even if you tried and dropped out halfway or jumped on like halfway through the challenge, congratulations if you did any of it. I hope you had fun, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it too. Plus, of course, I hope it helped sharpen your focus. That's what it was all about. So, yeah, I already lost track. I see 2 people are watching. A very warm welcome. Unfortunately, I cannot see who you are, but I really appreciate you taking the time. Justin. Wow, amazing, like 25 out or 24 out of 30. It's like, go you! Congratulations! I'm not sure if I could have done it, but you sure did a good job here. Christoph. Wall Ranger, hello. Yeah, good to see you. More and more people coming in. Welcome to How to Be Human and the Friday Live Talk. We're just getting settled, especially me. I'm a bit in a different surrounding, well, still kind of the same room. Maybe if I can move it a little bit. Sorry for the wobbles. Yeah, so I'm really MacGyvering it right now. And the reason is, for all that fairly new setup, is I had a bit of a crisis the past few weeks, especially with how things were going, with how to be human. And since, we all have crises every now and then, I thought it would be a great topic for tonight. And yeah, sometimes, if you're living your life and thinking nothing bad, crisis strikes, and life starts to feel like a whole set of just kind of a crisis management going on and off, and you get breaks in between. Thank you very much, universe. Oh, hello, Samuel. Hello. Unfortunately, I don't speak your language, whatever. Well, I better not try to pronounce that. I don't want to embarrass anyone, including myself. So, yeah, no crisis creation here. Well, most people don't like having a crisis. And the reason for that is it's unpleasant. Crisis hits on odd places and times. It's just like you're just sitting there comfortably in your comfort zone, and bam, like something hits and comfort zone is not so comfy anymore. And if you want to make things better, no matter where it's a teeny tiny crisis, like you want to enjoy a nice movie night and you ran out of popcorn and you'd have to get up and get popcorn somewhere. If you're lucky, you just have to go to the kitchen and make some more. If you're unlucky, you have to run to the next store and it will take you a while. And even worse, if the weather is being kind of cold and yucky and you just rather stay inside with your friends or your loved ones and enjoy the movie. So teeny tiny crisis here, you get to decide what you want to do. Or major crisis alert, like you lose somebody or you have a relationship crisis. Those are the really hard things that can hit us in life. No matter what, whatever the crisis, we kind of initially we refuse to move. We don't want to budge because we feel safe where we are. We know how things work, how things are going. I know if something gets a little edgy or we still know how to handle it somehow. But the longer we resist, the more suffering we create. The more the pain grows. I know it's incredible how much people are willing to suffer, especially if they don't want to move. You know, it's like, I want to remain here. Things have been so good. Why do they change now? It's all like a big mess all of a sudden, and we don't want to deal with it. So what do? We try to escape. You know, we make excuses. It's not so bad. It could be worse. You know, there are people out there who have it much rougher than I do. Or we just, you know, do our 9 to 5 everyday job, whatever that is. Just stick to what we know. And when we get home and would have time to face the crisis and everything that comes with it, we get out the beer, the bottle, Netflix, whatever our drug of choice, and just try to mute that pain that we are in. But the moment we realize that a crisis, it's nothing bad. It's our soul telling us, hey, we are ready to grow again. It's the next step in our journey as a human being. That already helps putting things a little bit better into perspective. It's still not going to be pleasant, but it can help us get out of our comfort zone where we felt safe so far, but has become the uncomfort zone, but we still refuse to let go of that safety, which is an illusion anyway, right? I mean, what is really safe? The only safe thing, that the only constant in life is change, and we certainly have trouble with that. So just accepting that we are having a crisis and that it's just a chance to grow, to become better, bigger, greater, more ourselves, more authentic. So Indonesia, hi. So that was the language I was wondering about. Welcome from very far away. So yeah, if you can get from the uncomfort zone into the growth zone, you know, both feel uncomfy to us. One we know but doesn't fit us anymore, like clothes that have gotten too small. The only difference with clothes is if they get too tight, we usually change them. Otherwise, you know, we grow and very uncomfy. So you know what I mean. But with personal growth, it's not the same. We just put up resistance because we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of the growth zone. And even if we know what we want to grow into, it's still, there's still fear. There's still, I'm not sure I want to go there because back here in my uncomfort zone, I still know how things work. And we procrastinate, you know, because we're afraid. And procrastination, hello. I met it big time just a couple of days ago, but more to that later. Stepping into the growth zone, often we're not really afraid of what's there because subconsciously or unconsciously we already know, but we are afraid of what we could create, stepping into our own greatness. And it was, what was her name? Marianne Williamson, the lady who wrote the Course in Miracles, I think. She is, I know the quote is attributed to Nelson Mandela most of the time, but it was her who initially put it out into the world, is that our greatest fear is not to be inadequate, but to be more powerful than we could ever imagine. So we're more afraid of our own light than of our own darkness. So if you keep that in mind, it seems a little ridiculous to be afraid of the light where we can see everything. Trouble is, in the light, we see everything, including our own shadows and our own inner wounds, and that can be very scary. So we'd rather, just keep pulling the wool over our eyes and pretend nothing's happening, nothing bad's going on. So Mar Illyrion X says, crisis is a way of life to remind us to get out of stagnation, a reminder to don't forget to adapt to changes, the way he sees it. Yeah, very nicely put. Yeah, a crisis is pretty much just life's way to kick us in the butt to get moving and to grow. Nature is constant growth, is constant adaptation, even if there are pauses in between where we settle and integrate things. It's still an ongoing process. It doesn't stand still. If you take a rest, our body might not be moving, but inwardly there's a lot going on, and we often forget that sitting still, being quiet, isn't meaning that nothing is going on and that nothing is happening, that we're just lazy butts. Justine says, every crisis is a moral crisis. Yeah, no, not quite sure what you define as moral, but it sure is weighing our options inwardly and making a decision. And the way I see it, it's deciding what we are more afraid of or what is greater pain. And the way I see people, if it's painful enough, we start moving. And that's when sometimes mistakes happen and we're afraid of making the mistake. We think, oh my God, I know I have to do something, but I don't want to move because I might make a mistake. There are other people who feel like, oh, it's uncomfy, I need to do something, and just start doing whatever. And they run off in whatever direction they can get to. Sometimes it feels like a one-way track. And they run and run and run and run, and the crisis is not getting better. Yeah, hell. Moving is okay, doing something is okay, but if you're running into the wrong direction, it's still wrong. You're not getting where you're supposed to be, and life will just trying to keep you like you're running this way, and life is like, you need to go that direction, buddy. Yeah. So what do we need to do is we need to sit down, get still, and just study and observe what's really going on. Let's take a relationship crisis. It's a tough one for most people. And, suddenly your partner might not feel like the right person anymore, although you were madly in love just a couple of months ago. So what most people do is they try to find the fault in the other person. I know you see the potential, or she was just so loving, and now she doesn't want sex anymore, or as a woman, you see the great potential in a partner, so why isn't he growing into it? It's all about expectations of others, and expectations are pretty much the recipe for disaster. And if we sit still and turn inward and look at what's going on within us, that's really what we're putting off. We're afraid of what we might find inside, our own wounds, our own hurts, our own fears. And I admit, and I know from experience, looking really into yourself to understand yourself better can be a hell of scary. It can be so scary that you lose sleep over it. And I understand that most people try to avoid that. But the better we understand ourselves, the better we know the tools we have, all the experience we made during our lifetime, and learn to apply it. So no matter the crisis you're facing is, you can handle it because you know what you can do, and you apply it and you get better at it. So a crisis actually is a chance to really become an even greater version of yourself. And that to me feels very helpful, it feels very comforting. It's that trust I can create within myself to gather the courage, get out there into the world and face whatever life's throwing at me. Just trusting that my soul, it knows. So we have to learn to trust that. But frankly, our ego has a very loud voice, and as is charged with keeping us safe. It's all the programs that we developed to make sure we don't get hurt. Our little, kinks and queer and what's the word? Our special effects. So, the ego gets in our way. And with the ego, it activates all our beliefs, all our habits, all our patterns, and just throws everything into our way to make sure we stay where we are safe, no matter how uncomfy it might be. And as said, that's what happened a little to me the past few weeks. Inwardly, I felt like I'm ready to take the next step with How to Be Human. How to Be Human grows with me, and I learn a lot with it, with every step I go. And recently I felt like it's not moving the way I wanted to move, I expected to move. Here you go, expectations, right? And I could blame people and say, people just don't want to learn about how to make their lives better, they'd rather be lazy, they rather watch TV. I could have done that, and for some people it might actually be true, but it's not for me to judge. So what I needed to do was facing my metaphorical mirror and have a hard look at myself. So what was I doing? And my boyfriend actually helped me with that. So I told him how I felt. How it felt to me is like everything is tight. I feel I have hit like a glass ceiling. I'm feeling uncomfy. I'm totally frustrated because I put a lot of effort in all my videos. I know the content, the knowledge I share is really useful, but people don't seem to care. Nobody is watching it. And so why the hell am I still doing that? So big amount of frustration, also a big amount of procrastination. And he said, honest, as he always is like, so if you want people to watch your videos, stop with that bloody boring green background of yours. And I felt like, but I like green, but it's boring, nobody's wanna watch that all the time. And so I thought, you might got a point there. So yeah, as you can see right there in the background, it still is because it's kind of part of my apartment and brings some color without me having to paint walls. So there's another reason for that. Now I'm making excuses. You see that? So it's one of the next steps. And the talk went on, from dressing, how you show up, and yeah, we had some very fun moments going towards the direction of OnlyFans pages and doing my talks in the bikini from now on. So I live in Switzerland. It can get really cold here in winter, so I just said, like, I don't want to get frostbite. I don't get paid enough for that. So I stick with my clothes for now. Thank you very much. Anyway, it was still funny and just throwing out ideas. And with that, it helped me to overcome the fear of facing what I was really afraid of. I wasn't afraid of showing up. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do live talks if I was afraid of that. I wouldn't do what I do in general. So I sat down with myself. I actually took the time, instead of just running after new ideas, as inspired as I felt after like 2.5 hours talk with my bestie. And truth be told, the thing I was afraid of is showing myself the way I really am, with all the power, with all the knowledge, with all the energy I have. And lots of people actually learn, especially women, but men also, depending on the culture and how you grew up, is we kind of learn that we have to down-tune ourselves. You don't have to be, don't be yourself. Just fit into whatever box your culture is providing with you. Hell breaks loose if you don't. You get sent to a psychiatrist. You get diagnosed with whatever disorder, and it's just, that brainwashing we get of that whoever and however we are, it's not good enough. We don't fit in, and that taps into the very basic fear of survival. As humans, we depend on the group, we depend on our families, especially as little children, as babies. I mean, we cannot run away, we're just helpless. Actually, we don't even see clearly the first several days of our lives. It's just all a blur. So, yeah. And that's what I realized for myself. As much as I thought I've overcome that fear, there it was, bam, straight in my face. It's like, okay, let's get that courage going. Since I really know myself very well, I managed to get the tools out, be creative, trying out things. And yeah, things can go wrong. I mean, with every live chat, there is some moment when I forget a word, or I lose track of what I wanted to say. It's just go with the flow and trust that it will be all right, and that I'm actually talking to people, like to real people like you, who are on the other end of a phone, or maybe a computer. I don't know, it's probably a phone, right? And yeah, technical difficulties. Yeah, faced some of these. Just walking my talk. I tell people, try to be as real as you can. Have the courage. Look at yourself. And that's what I want to do. And that's when the next kind of challenge showed up. One of the things, one of my greatest values, one of my core values is authenticity. I want to be real, and I believe that when people would be real, like the real light they are in them, in their hearts, in their very soul, our world would be way better off than if we were ruled by egos and dogmas and all the things that tries to keep us into a tiny little box where we don't fit in. So I faced, okay, I want to be real. So I personally don't really care too much for makeup. Actually, I tried makeup today and it's a bit embarrassing, but I actually managed to poke my eye and paint my eyeball. So it's a gift. So, but I tried it out and so like, okay, I've done that as a teenager and I rarely do it like on big occasions like weddings or so. And just, yeah. To me, I never wear makeup, so it doesn't feel like me if I put it on unless I really feel like it. So to dress up and get nice hair and a sexy dress and whatever, it just feels like that's not me, The important thing I want to share is what I say and the energy that comes with it. So who cares what I look like? But actually people do care what others look like. Subconsciously, we judge, we categorize and put people in different boxes that we are used to put them. And if it's a box that we feel comfy with, we like it. If it's a box we don't feel comfy with, we don't like it. So we wouldn't watch a channel, if you'd had a very bad experience with a person with pink and blue hair, like a really bad experience. Next time you meet another person with pink and blue hair, you probably try to avoid them, remembering all the bad that happened the first time. And it's just natural, but if we become aware of these patterns, it can help us overcome fears that are not necessary. And for me, it's like, okay, facing my own belief, my value that has been challenged with being authentic, and how can I show up in a way that speaks to people, that doesn't bore them out the first 10 seconds they watch my videos. Actually, I watched some of my older videos and it was a little bit like nails on chalkboard. And kudos to all of you who listened to the whole talk, watching the boring green background. So it's me being in the process of finding a way of creating something lively, joyful to watch, joyful to listen to. I mean, you don't even have to watch. You can put your phone aside and chop carrots and cook dinner or lunch or whatever. But if you watch, then your face doesn't fall asleep right now. So, but how can I do it in the most authentic way? And here I have to step out of my comfort zone and try out new things. So be prepared, be warned. There will be changes on how to be human in the next weeks, days, whatever, how long it's gonna take. It's a process, and I love sharing it with you, and I love that you shared your time with me. Time's the most valuable thing we have. And yeah, I know I've said that before, but you don't really know what it means to me that you're here interacting with me, even if I can't, always catch up and get into all the comments. There's been quite a story going on. Standards, strange standards, as if everyone had no life of their own or no opinion of their own. Yeah, that's pretty much what gets me going. So people being fake, being not the real selves, and that creates so much fighting, so much pain. It's just, if you don't fit into my box, you're automatically something to be feared. I mean, just look at the world out there. It's Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, many like countries in Africa, uh, countries in Asia. There's fighting over dogmatic ideas, and on one hand, that makes me incredibly sad, and on the other hand, also pretty angry, because I believe, and nobody has to share that belief, but I think it's a very helpful one to have if we want to create peace in the world, to realize who we truly are, that we are all souls on a journey, that we make experiences, and yes, we get scared, yes, we get hurt, but to not let that hurt and that fear stop us from being compassionate, to be willing to at least try and understand the other person. Understanding it's like the root of love. We hate and fear what we don't understand. So understanding is the first step to peace. That's my humble opinion. You can share it or don't care about it. And it's Christoph says, yes, it's a pity we come into the world as individuals and die as copies. This is very sad, and I hope to at least help a tiny, tiny little bit with changing that, to encourage people to look at themselves and become the real version again. It's part of the process, I think, of life, that we need to undergo some time where we live as copies, because it's like you get to see better what you don't want to be if you are it for a while. So if that makes sense. Mainstream people. I don't have to catch up. Yeah, thank you. A couple colorful topic stickers for the background. Yeah, that's a really lovely idea. I'll ask you about that later on. I've watched quite a few. Oh, Justin says he still doesn't know my name. My name is Marion, Marion. So, yeah. So I'm so familiar with my name, I forget to mention it at times. So nice to meet you. So yeah, that about crisis, about people, about being real, and I hope whoever's watching and following me on How to Be Human, sharing your precious time with me, taking the time to write comments, to hit the like button. Yeah, spelling error. Doesn't matter. I have people as like, hey, Mr. So because Marion can actually be a male and a female name, quite obviously I'm female, but I don't mind if there's little mess ups. Yeah. So I think I'll close this live talk for tonight. I went off on several tangents and managed to land back on my feet. And I love to share more about being real, being authentic, how to handle crises, all these kind of things that makes a human life worth living with you in the future. For those of you who have been with me on the journey, thank you very much for being here, for listening to what I have to say, to have the courage to work on yourself, to have the courage to share what you believe in with the world, to be really you as much as you can be every step on the way of your journey. It's a growth process, and sometimes things take a little longer than we wish they do, but yeah. Let's face crisis head on and not escape from it. Yeah, the only way to overcome a crisis is by going through it. So let's face it together. I hope I can support you, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate every single one of you, what you do for me, all the little signs, the comments, the thank yous. And I hope to see you soon again. Until then, I wish you lots of love and light from my heart to yours.